Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nursofiyah binti Hasri and I'm from DC6E and my ID number is IDI 1905059. This is my first commentary video based on social deviance, and the case study that I've chosen to talk about to relate to social deviance is on Uyghur Muslim in China. And at the same time, I will relate this topic to 4 of Philip Zimbardo's theory, which is the 7 social processes that reach the slippery slope of evil, which is from the Milligram's experiment. To start with, I would like to explain to you what is social deviance. So social deviance is the behavior that violates the standard of conduct or expectation of a group or society, which may or may not be formalized into law. In a simpler explanation, deviance is described as an action or behavior that breaks social norms. So as we are all aware, the Uyghur Muslims are currently in re-education camp under the Chinese government, which was institutionalized in 2015. The persecutions of the Uyghur Muslims started in 2014 when the Chinese government started imposing religious, cultural, and economic restrictions. Based on my observation, there are 2 theories that can be used to explain these economic restrictions. The first theory is by Philip Zimbardo, which is mindlessly taking the first small step, meaning that an individual would not commit criminal crime without doing a minor criminal action. Referring to the Chinese economic restrictions, hence I believe the crime started when the Uyghur Muslims were being forced to abandon their family, culture, life, and their religion. The second theory, which I borrowed from economists and sociologist Karl Marx, the problem comes was when the upper class bourgeoisie control the middle class, and the middle class bourgeoisie then control the bottom class. In the case of China's economic restriction, the Chinese government, who sits at the upper class, are currently controlling the bottom class, which is the Uyghur Muslim, and the Chinese government are forcing them to follow the regulation. The third theory, which is the Zimbardo's theory of dehumanization of others, which is seize and treat a victim as an object. It was principally stored by the Uyghur Muslim woman victim of mass rape, sexual abuse, and torture when they were in the re-education camp. In this case, the women have been treated as a sex object. This type of behavior is against human rights and crimes against humanity, as it will lead to the victims being traumatized with lifelong repercussions for the victim's health and well-being. The fourth theory, which is the Zimbardo's theory of the individuation of self or anonymity, is used to explain the height of the Chinese government's genocide act towards the Uyghur Muslim. The government places many surveillances in Western Xinjiang to ensure that the Uyghur Muslim are not contacting anyone that lives outside the region. According to the Human Rights Committee, the surveillance intensely varies from facial recognition to QR codes on people's door. The Uyghur Muslims were also asked to undergo biometric tests. As a result, it is hard for the world to assess and keep track on what is happening to them or even to give them help. Finally, the final theory that I use is the Zimbardo's theory of diffusion of personal responsibilities. which describe that the persons who not admit the crime, instead they will blame others for it. In this case, a genocide towards the Uyghur Muslim, according to former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, the Western Xinjiang actions constitute crimes against humanity. However, China government claims that the genocide was a result of the government responding to ethnic separatism and violent terrorist criminal activities. Here, in agreement with the theory, the Chinese government is making an excuse just to threaten the Uyghur when they are actually the ones who are committing the crime. That is all on the topic that is based on social deviance. Thank you for listening. Bye.